What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another player breakdown. The player we're discussing today is a highly requested player out of Detroit. It is Ameer Abdullah. We will also be mentioning Theo Riddick. Reason being is because I think his role in 2016 transitioning into 2017 does play a big factor on Ameer Abdullah's production moving forward. We'll touch on both players a bit. I'll let you know what I like about them and where I think that they're going to be going in your drafts and where you should take them as well, if at all. Now, before I do, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you keep up to date with all our latest videos. We post videos 5 days a week. That's not going to stop until the off season is over. And if you also could, it would really help us out if you toss this video a big thumbs up. And with that, let's get into the player breakdown for Ameer Abdullah. I think it's safe to say that the running back position is really volatile coming into the 2017 season. It's really hard to find value. A lot of these running backs are going super high with not really too much going in their favor. Ameer Abdullah himself, he comes in on Fantasy Football Calculator as RB25, which translates to about 60 overall. And then you have ESPN, which we mostly play off of, where he is RB33, which is 88 overall. Now, I believe Ameer Abdullah is severely underrated both on the field and in the form of his ADP for the 2017 season. One of the big factors involved with that is that Detroit has no capable backs. Last season when Abdullah went down, we did see a fair share of running backs get their opportunity. There was Justin Forsett, Dwayne Washington, Zach Zenner, and Theo Riddick. Now, the first player to get a chance to make a name for himself was Theo Riddick. A lot of you, just like Ameer Abdullah, have been asking questions about Riddick and where to draft him this year. Well, basically, we have seen flashes of Riddick in the past, and last season he really hit his prime opportunity where he started 10 games racking up 721 yards from scrimmage. It would surprise a lot of people if you told them last year that heading into this year he was going to end the season with 721 yards with a 50-50 split in the rushing yardage and receiving yardage. That just goes to show you how desperate the Lions were. That 50-50 split is a huge difference from 2015, where he had 697 receiving yards to just 133 ground yards. And the whole time, Riddick was terrible on the ground. If you ask me, I think it's safe to say that Riddick is a one-trick pony. I don't think Riddick is special, and I don't believe he will be a household name in the league for years to come. He's a terrible rusher, and if he didn't have hands, he probably would not even be on a roster right now. In his entire 4-year career, he's averaged a disappointing 3.5 yards per carry. In his defense, though, last season he did average 3.9. However, we all know that most teams around the league, if you're not averaging 4 yards per carry, you're not on the roster very long. And Riddick has been able to do that for 4 years now, coming into his 5th year in the league. So I think you can see where I'm going with this. I am not a big fan of Riddick. I think that his skill set's really going to limit him in the situations he's going to be used for this football team. Basically, all the stars aligned last year for Riddick to get the biggest opportunity share he has had in his young career. That in no way is going to translate into 2017. Abdullah is back, and Abdullah has been successful. I don't think there's a chance that he even has over 40% of the market share of this backfield. Abdullah is going to be the guy. He's going to get his opportunities, and that's going to be at the expense of Riddick. Now, this team itself is not going to be the type of team to put up big rushing numbers on a week-by-week basis. Their backfield just isn't set up for that. They haven't been successful on the ground for many years, and that's by design too. They were 30th in rushing last year, 32nd in 2015, and 28th in 2014. Now, what they do specialize in is this short passing game to the running back position. Abdullah has good hands. He can really succeed if given this opportunity. We've seen him do it in the past, and he is the most complete back that they have on this roster. No Lion last season averaged over 4 yards per carry. Abdullah did, and he has averaged 4.3 yards per carry since entering the league, something that no rusher on this team has been able to do, and essentially that makes his role as safe as can be. Pro Football Focus has Abdullah as the 11th highest rated back in the entire league. He ranks 4th in receiving and 10th in pass blocking. But people forget about Abdullah. You know, he was out for a whole season last year. It's hard to trust a guy like that, but he was a 2nd round pick coming into the NFL draft. His measurables have always been strong, so there's really nothing that should make you question in Abdullah's ability. So the only 2 questions you should have at this point are if there is enough fantasy points to go around in this backfield, and what will be the market share that Ameer Abdullah is going to have coming into the 2017 season. So starting with the fantasy points in this backfield, the Lions are a subpar rushing team, but even so, in PPR formats, Theo Riddick last year produced 16.1 fantasy points per game in a PPR scoring format. That workload is going to directly transfer over to Ameer Abdullah. That's the type of upside that you could expect from this pick. You do have to keep in mind that most of this production is going to be coming from the backfield in the form of receptions. The Lions are not going to have a 1,000-yard rusher. That's just not in their game plan moving forward. They have, however, came out and said that Ameer Abdullah is going to be receiving 200 carries. Can you take that to the bank and count on that to actually happen? I don't think so, but I don't think he'll need it either way. What he lacks in the rushing game, he'll make up for in the receiving game. I think a high upside projection for Ameer Abdullah, I'm talking high upside, is 765 rushing yards, 645 receiving yards, and 8 total touchdowns. I think a floor projection for him would be about 550 rushing yards, 400 receiving yards with 5 touchdowns. So if you're using those figures, that basically makes him a safe floor PPR play with definitely high upside. Now coming in at RB 2560 overall does sound like a large investment, but the value is definitely there. I wouldn't try to target him any higher than RB 20 or even grab him there, just because I've been seeing him fall in a lot of leagues. I've even seen Theo Riddick get taken before Ameer Abdullah. What you should be trying to do is try to snag Ameer Abdullah in that RB 25 to RB 30 range. That way you are guaranteed to get a return on value from this pick. Now as for Riddick, I personally will not be touching him. He will have a role, especially in this passing game. However, I definitely consider him more like a Chris Thompson or Shane Vereen style of player. And no role player besides maybe CJ Procise is even being taken in the same area. And I think Theo Riddick is going to go 20 spots ahead of CJ Procise, where if you ask me, I'll take Procise over Riddick any day. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this week's player breakdown. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. If you have not yet, make sure you do subscribe. Toss this video a big thumbs up, and we'll catch you on the next one.